it seems like those wonderful folks at Warcradle Studios have done it again, releasing something that I really like, and I think you're really gonna like too. You might remember that we reviewed the Dystopian Wars 2-player starter set quite recently on the channel, and I was not only really impressed with the volume of miniatures in the box, but also with the quality of the miniatures. I have made a start painting some of them, and there was a video for a lovely Stark Empire airship that you may also see. I'll try to remember to link it up the top of the screen. Now, this is beyond the Sturginium skies. This is a box set that is about to release from Warcradle. They very kindly did send this to me, but that will in no way influence what I'm about to say about it, because I'm not actually gonna do a super review of this. Very quickly, just to go over what's in the box, and I do think it's really cool. We get a bunch of extra miniatures to expand the two forces that were included in the original 2-player starter set. No surprises there. We've seen this kind of thing before with games like Infinity, but it is still quite a rarity in the broader gaming sphere to see games companies do stuff like this, and I really support it. Clear signposting: buy this product first, then follow it up with this product, and you will have the start of a collection for two armies that can have good, competitive, fun games together. That to me is really smart, and I love it. Now then, what we've got in here is a few more ships for both of the forces, the Canadians and the Starks. And there's also some sort of oil riggy platforms, some markers here for mines and for wreckage, a few more dice come in the set. Again, it's a big set. Taking the lid off the box, we once again see that very nice premium UV foiled Warcradle Studios logo, which I'm a big fan of. And we see a campaign book. To start off with, a campaign book, much like we saw in the first box set, this is going to continue to give you more information about the units and how to assemble them. And I imagine, yep, we're going to see some scenarios as well. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest. However, what really surprised me and what I was super happy to see was a second copy of the rulebook. If this is a true 2-player onboarding experience, then the Beyond box having a second copy of the rulebook is fantastic, because it means both of those two players who buy into the game together each get to own a copy of the rulebook, and that's really smart. But again, I did say the contents wasn't what we were here to talk about, so I'm not going to spend forever talking about the contents, because actually there is one thing in particular in here that I'm really interested in. One of the reasons that Warcradle sent me this in the first place was because I got all gushy and enthusiastic about those Vitruvian Colossi. I think we're just starting to encounter their parts now. Looks like this is the sprues for them just starting to appear. So what I'm going to do is put the rest of this aside and just bring this back in a second just to show you what I'm talking about. So let me just get you some better zoom on that first of all. We are talking about these two miniatures here and here. They're like titans emerging from water, and that to me is so evocative of this idea of a steampunk, small scale, was it 1 to 1250 scale, mass battle, combined arms, land, sea and air sort of deal. Like, one of the things that I thought to myself that I'd really like to see in this game is mechs. I love mechs, you know, I'm a huge Battletech fan, I'm a huge Infinity fan. That game obviously also has sort of mech suits in the form of tags. I love me a big robot. And these models really inspired me, and when I was gushing about them and how much I was impressed with them, that was when Warcradle said, well, you know, you reviewed the starter box, why not review the follow-up box as well? And I thought, we can do a bit better than that. And do better we shall, because right here I've got one of these Vitruvian Colossi all built up, and with just the tiniest little bit of extra effort beyond that, we've got ourselves a primed Vitruvian Colossi. And what I'm going to do today is actually use this, because this model inspired me so much, because it was the whole reason I wanted the Beyond Sturginium Skies box in the first place. I'm going to use this to give you a very quick and simple little tutorial for some high-speed non-metallic metal. Now then, before we get into this, I want to show you an example model, but I also want to give you a bit of an explanation. So this is an example model of the kind of thing I'm talking about. And you can see the entire right-hand side of this guy is a robot, and so I've chosen to go for this kind of blue steel and copper NMM all over the model. And despite that, this is only about a 10-hour paint job. Now I think that I can actually get this NMM specifically significantly time reduced at the cost of just a little bit of visual fidelity. So we're maybe just going to have some slightly less smooth blending. We're maybe going to have just, a slightly more textured look to it, but that's great for battle-worn stuff like robots. So if you've ever wanted to take a big robot, a big titan, a big something or other like that, and give it a non-metallic metal paint job, but you don't want to pour in 30, 40, 50 hours, then this video today might be the one for you. So let's get on with it. So, first things first, I want us to concentrate on getting our colours laid out and our gradients pre-mixed. For the blue steel, I'm going to be using black and Vallejo model colour dark sea green in a 50-50 mix, then pure dark sea green, followed by heather blue by Reaper Master Series paints, mixed 50-50 with again dark sea green. Then it's going to be pure heather blue, and then heather blue with white again as a 50-50 mix, all nice and simple. For the copper, I'm going to be going with black and Vallejo model colour Cavalry brown as a 50-50 mix, then pure Cavalry brown with Vallejo game colour Parasite brown as a 50-50 mix, although Parasite brown is the same as orange brown if you prefer Vallejo model colour. Next is pure Parasite brown, and then Parasite brown with white as a 50-50 mix. Both of these are going to be worked up from a black undercoat, and you can choose to do pinpoint reflections on both types of metal with just pure white. So I did decide to also add both of these colours to my palette, in case I need to correct any mistakes or make those super bright highlight spots. With all that planned out, the next thing to do is to start painting. So first up, let's look at that dark steel effect. As we work on this process, there's really only two things I want you to concentrate on remembering. The first of which is the top-down highlight, which we'll use on any relatively flat pieces, such as the chest here, where you can see me building in the brighter colour toward the top. All I'm really doing here is stippling. I'm not even attempting to blend, I'm just building up colour that is darker at the lower point of each section of the mini and brighter at the upper part of each section of the mini. As we start to get into the lighter parts of the range of colours we've laid out, you can see how this creates a lovely gradient, despite the fact that we're just applying the paint by gently stabbing it onto the miniature with the brush tip. Once we start to get into the lightest parts of the gradient, that's where I then like to bring in some scratches, edge highlights, nice little delicate additions to the scheme, such as those dot highlights here and there. This sort of stuff is really the only mechanically difficult part in the whole process, where we do have to hunker down and concentrate for a bit. Now with a nice example of steel painted, let's move on to the copper, so that I can demonstrate the second of the two things I said I wanted you to remember. Here we're going to be talking about checkerboarding, which is really the main way you'll highlight things like trim, but can also be useful for bigger, broader cylinders, where just adding a line highlight along them would make them look a bit underdone. With checkerboarding, we're not really looking for an actual checkerboard, of course, that would be silly, but more that kind of on-off relationship between light and dark sections that creates big, bold bands of contrast. Again, this can be approached entirely with stippling. There's no reason to get excited and try to do perfectly blended transitions between these colour groups, unless of course you are specifically looking to push for a super high quality finish. The added bonus though of learning non-metallic metal this way is that once you establish these basic techniques and apply them in what is a mechanically simple way, the understanding of the highlights themselves is transferable, so creating a more refined version just involves concentrating on the finer blending and more neatness. As previously, you can see I've been working on this version just with simple stippling though, and as I get to the lighter parts of the blend, I'm again looking at edge highlights, scratches and tiny bright spots. Now I won't completely finish this model today because, well, time is precious and a bit stretched at the moment, but also you have a nice completed example already with old smash and grab here. But I think you can see when we place them side by side that even this quick and easy version, once finished on a whole model, is going to look great, but with a fraction of the effort you might expect. Previously, when working on Dystopian Wars and Wild West Exodus stuff, a lot of my initial painting involved testing with Army Painter speed paints because I was really conscious of saving time. And I think you can see here with this Gustav Eiffel model and with this Nikola Tesla that compared to Smash and Grab and to the Colossus we worked on today, there really is a world of difference. Now obviously that's because we had different time investments we were willing to put into them, but for me that extra time investment is worth it when the models are so beautiful, and so with that in mind I actually reached out to Warcradle and asked if they'd be willing to send me another Eiffel and another Tesla so that I could make a little video where I earned my retribution by painting them with a lot more effort. They very kindly obliged my request, so I'd love to know if that's a video you want to see. The idea of earning my retribution with those models is not only appealing artistically, but it's also a bit of a clever play on words, since the box set they're from is actually called Showdown at Retribution. Let me know in the comments below if you think those minis deserve a little more effort and a revisit, and if you think that's worth a whole nother video. Anyway folks, I think that's enough from me for this one, so I'll leave you with a few more shots here of both the nicely painted and the more rushed models as I continue my ongoing quest to strike a balance between doing my best and actually getting my minis painted. Thanks so much for watching everyone. Please do leave this video a like if you liked it, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you want more content like this. I will also leave a link to where you can get yourself a copy of Beyond the Sturginium Skies for yourselves, as well as the usual affiliate links, Patreon, that kind of thing, all below in the description of this video. I'll see you in the next one folks. Bye bye for now.